Hi, my name is Carol Royle, and I'm here to read to you a message from Trish Dainton and some of her poetry. Trish was a carer to her husband, Steve, who sadly died in 2011, aged just 49. Steve had inherited Huntington's disease, or HD as it's often called. I knew a little about HD, as I have a friend who has it in her family. I knew the devastation it causes, but I hadn't had cause to research it until I was asked to play the character of Emily in the BBC One programme Casualty. It's classed as a rare disease, affecting around 12 in every 100,000 people, although that figure could be considerably more when taking into account other factors, such as the stigma of being open about it, leading to people not seeking diagnosis, and the lack of public and medical awareness in general. 12 in every 100,000 people doesn't sound many, but to put it into context, motor neuron disease, or ALS as people may better know it from the Ice Bucket Challenge, affects around 2 in every 100,000 people. As if being a carer wasn't hard enough, Trish often felt that it was an uphill struggle trying to educate people, including sometimes even the professional services, about the disease and how it impacted on Steve and her in real terms. Trish used writing poetry as therapy and an outlet for her frustrations when being a carer. It also helps her to cope with her grief. She hopes her poems can be used to raise awareness of HD, alongside the struggles of carers and those with HD and other neurological conditions. For some time now, the disease, named by George Huntington, has been known as Huntington's disease, or HD. It was originally known as Huntington's chorea, or HC, due to the noticeable involuntary movements of the people affected. The term chorea derives from the Greek word for dance, choreia, or as we know it, choreography. As more information became known about Huntington's and it became clear the motor movement characteristics were just part of the illness, and also that not all patients actually overtly displayed involuntary body movement, the term chorea was replaced by disease. Many people, including Trish, are unhappy with HD still being referred to by its old name and feel compelled to point out to professionals at every opportunity the disease element being important, in particular where cognitive, emotional and reasoned thinking is compromised more than physical movement. As more information became known about Huntington's, it became clear the motor movement characteristics were just part of the illness, and also that not all patients actually overtly displayed involuntary body movement, and the term chorea was replaced by disease. Trish was pleased that Casualty highlighted that the disease could impact many years before the visual symptoms became apparent. The mental health problems Emily had after the birth of her children being a potential early sign of HD which had at the time been missed. Here is Trish's first poem, The Name Game. I don't have HC, I have HD, I snap at the doctor in front of me. If he mentions chorea just once more, I'm in danger of kicking him out of the door. Chorea may be what you heard at med school, but by using it now you just sound like a fool. It's been several years now since it's been called disease, so go back to your books and research this thing, please. Yes, there may be linked to chorea or dance, where in olden days doctors just gave us one glance, but in case you've not noticed, it alters my mind, and the movement's the least of my worries you'll find. Please show me respect and use the right name. The disease term's important, it's not a word game. It's used to ensure it reflects what is true, that this thing is so complex, one symptom won't do. Huntington's disease affects movement, mood and memory. It can strip away all manner of skills, from the very basic ones we take for granted, such as walking, talking and eating, to the more complex thinking skills, such as reasoning and processing information. Trish wrote the following poem before her husband, Steve, died. It was after reading an article where it was stated a person with HD had over time gone blind, deaf and dumb that Trish was saddened that due to lack of understanding, engagement and stimulation by the people looking after this patient, that these assumptions were made, that the patient may very well still have had cognitive faculties which were being missed. The poem reflects Trish's eagerness to remind herself Steve was still the same man she fell in love with and married. He needed her to adjust in line with HD and never forget it was not his fault he was the way he was, needing her more than ever not to give up on believing in him. The closing line brings home to Trish how empty her days are now, and why she tries to fill them remembering Steve and raising awareness in his honour. The rushed hush. Please speak to me. I am not deaf. Please show me flowers. I am not blind. Please take the time to listen more. I simply have a slower mind. Please stay with me a moment longer. Your time's precious, mine's more so. Please try to talk a little slower. I get confused lest you talk slow. Please give me time to think a while. It doesn't help when you cut in. Please treasure silence, not fill void. Please watch my lips till speech begins. Please feed me love. It makes me stronger to fight this illness in my head. Please care for me a little longer. Your time is plenty when I'm dead. And finally, a poem entitled My Inspiration. Whenever I feel down and sad, whenever there's frustration, I take a moment to look up at you, my inspiration. The pictures hanging on the wall, the frame at my workstation, I take a moment to look up at you, my inspiration. I wake up in the morning tired, a lack of motivation. I think of how you woke each day, your strength, my inspiration. I force another slice of toast, remember your starvation, and think of those who could not eat like you, my inspiration. I scold myself for vanity, a wrinkle my fixation, then realize you love me still, your smile, my inspiration. I curse the day we heard your test, confirmed your gene mutation. Then think of how you coped so well, my bravest inspiration. I think of how you never lost that skill, communication. The words and thoughts come loud and clear from you, my inspiration. Your death, so young and so unfair, became your liberation. And yet you chose to stay with me, to be my inspiration. If you would like to find out more about Huntington's disease, the websites, such as those of the Huntington's Disease Organisation of England and Wales, Scottish Huntington's Association, and Huntington's Disease Youth Organisation, have lots of information available, including useful contact points. Donations to support the work of these charities, who offer a lifeline to those living with such complex and devastating disease, can also be made by visiting their websites. If you would like to read more of Trish Dainton's poems or her blog, they can be found by searching on the name of her book, Curse in Verse, and Much More Worse. Thank you.